if you don't know the knowledge, you can pay someone or they can pay you to learn it.
Yeah.
And honestly, I've learned a lot from coaches and just honestly being around great people, and there's so much out there that you can learn, and that's why there's experts.
Today on True Patriot Love, I'm lucky enough to have Sienna Sovereign with me from Dustin the Media. Now, I usually don't do happiness pillar shows, but today I wanted to tell this story because I ran across Sienna and an old friend of mine, Brian, about a week ago. And we had this conversation about what she's working on, and I thought it was very important to have this conversation. So, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me on today.
Sienna, tell us a little bit about your background, because last time I met you, you kind of shared a few pieces, and why Dustin the Media?
Well, I've always been into marketing, always been into selling. You could ask anyone. I was selling drawings, slime, bracelets, jewelry, whatever I could from a really young age. I was very persuasive, kind of always got my way. So I guess I've always had that in me, and I come from a long line of entrepreneurs and small business owners. So it's in me. Yeah.
Well, and the interesting part for those of you in rural Canada, you understand farming, of course, and you love horses.
Yeah.
So, and you barrel race.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's where I first met you a few years ago. You had a show, I think, Hamilton?
Probably would have been Ancaster.
Ancaster. So tell us a little about how did you get into, and for those of you, so barrel racing is probably one of the more complicated horse events that you can get into, because
I would say maybe they all have their challenges, obviously. But it didn't really start with horses. Like without Brian, I wouldn't have never really been introduced to it and had that interest.
Yeah.
I grew up doing almost every sport in the book. And then I'd say probably when I was 8 or 9, all the girls in my grade, everyone wanted to do horseback riding. So my mom brought me, she said, okay, here you go. And it kind of went from there. But Brian really introduced me to the horse side. And what you said, I'm from more rural Ontario. Even driving down here, the cities and the highways, it's wild. I'm not a highway driver anymore. And it's just such a crazy change.
Yeah. And Brian, so I'm going to give a shout out to Brian. So Brian is, I think, the general manager, the president of OHA.
The GM, yeah.
Yeah, the GM. So he's general manager. And I met him with Jim Whalen. So that's how I met Brian, and met Brian in Windsor years ago. And Brian's background, for those of you, is a harness driver.
Yeah, so he was a racer, owner, trainer. He kind of did it all.
Yeah, he did it all. And he set records. Brian was when I met him down in the Windsor days, he was a record-setting driver, had a horrific accident.
Couple of them.
Yeah, a couple of really bad accidents, and then decided to kind of hang up his rig, his carriage, and then basically started to get involved with OHA and the Horse Association, which went on. When I met them, we created the Slots at Racetracks program, which went on to do miraculous things for horse racing and farming across Ontario. And he's done terrific things since. And the fact that he introduced you to horses is no shock to me. but talk about barrel racing. So for those of you, who've seen barrel racing, it's very complicated in that the horse, you have to teach the horse to basically compact around. It's really about turn radius, right? And getting that shoulder bent. And tell me, because I'm not
so Brian and I have had this debate for a while. He's like, well, you see all the professionals, they do these big loops. And I'm like, yes, but it's not just a big loop, right? You want to make sure the horse's inside shoulder, so the one close to the barrel's picked up, and you want to give them enough room so that they can move without slowing down. They want bigger strides, not tiny, fast ones. And even bringing it back, I had a horse approach the barrel perfectly, shoulder up, but we just didn't give it enough room. And as soon as we were coming off the backside and leaving, his bum tipped it, which is an added 5-second time when you hit the barrel. Yeah, it's 5 seconds or no time, just depending on where you're running. So it's a lot of speed, but it's also precision and the right foot placements, and almost being able to ride as hard and as involved, but as quietly as possible. So on it, just sitting in the middle of your saddle and just hoping that all that work and time and effort you put in just drives the horse and they know what they're doing.
Well, let's talk about that. So getting a horse ready to do barrels, how many hours are we talking about? Because, just watching it, quite frankly. So how many hours are we talking to?
It varies. It so varies depending on the horse, the goal, the level, and then even the mindset.
Yourself.
I will admit I should definitely be on my boys a lot more than I am. I just, obviously with the barrel race in my business, and I'm in school, and I have a job, it's a lot. But I'm very grateful to have horses that are very automatic.
Yeah.
So meaning that when they see those barrels, they know their job, and I don't have to get too handsy with them. I don't have to be pushing them as much to get them faster. They know their job.
Yeah.
So personally for me, it was really setting that foundation with my one boy, Jack. He's a phenomenal horse. I will preach it till the day one of us dies. He is the best horse I've ever had. I essentially trained him myself. I bought him green broke. He was my rope horse. I hurt my shoulder a couple times because of him. Thank you, Jack. And I said, you're not sitting in a paddock. Like, you're doing something. And he's honestly become one of the best barrel horses I've ever ridden. And that was just a lot of time and effort and bonding and connection before I even let him see a barrel. Whereas Max, I did buy him pre-trained, but obviously from one person to another, riding style is very different. Everything's very different. So him and I do a lot of work with picking up his shoulder and bending and really letting himself open up his body and open up his stride and not be so short. Yep. Whereas Jack is like, let me go fast. Just put your head down. I'll turn. I got this.
Yeah. So how many hours roughly a week are you talking? Just give me a guess, because
like per day, if I'm actually like saddling up, getting them ready, walking down to the arena, which is about a 25-minute walk horseback. I've timed it.
Yeah.
I'd probably say all in all, like 4 to 5 hours a day. And I'm probably trying to do that about 3 times a week. And then there's something called lunging. You put them on a really long line and you let them do circles. I do that for about 45 minutes with them each day if I'm not riding. So about 4 days a week, I try and get them about 2 riding, 2 lunging.
Yeah, it's amazing. So 12 to 20 hours roughly a week. Easily. At least. Yeah, at least. It is a commitment. And that
well, they're living animals, right? Like,
yeah.
I've always been taught they come before you. If you're thirsty, they're thirsty. Or if you're hungry, they're hungry. Like, if you're cold, they're colder. Get their tack, get them cleaned up, like, I'm so grateful for Brian because he taught me all of that.
Yeah.
And it's so important. You see so many people out there and they don't take care of their horses, or they finish the run, they hand their horse off to their mom or their dad, and they go and put on a jacket and go see their friends. Whereas when I was growing up, Brian was standing there cross-armed like, nope, you got this.
Yeah.
Which I'm grateful for. It teaches you a lot.
Yeah. Well, having any pet, especially a horse, teaches you a ton. And training a horse or coaching a horse to do what you want to do is amazing.
That's why there's experts. And honestly, I've learned a lot that if you don't know the knowledge, you can pay someone or they can pay you to learn it. Yeah. And honestly, I've learned a lot from coaches and just honestly being around great people. And there's so much out there that you can learn. And that's why there's experts. Yeah, no, for sure. Farmer's Dash. Let's talk about that for a minute. So you took this initiative on, and this is the main reason I wanted you to come on the show and have the conversation, because, I'm not going to ask your age. So, because you never do that to a lady, but you're a younger person, and 19, yeah, 20 this year. There you go. I'll say it. You can say it. Young. I can't ask, right? But you took this initiative and you said, okay, I'm going to run with this initiative because it's near and dear to my heart. And creating Farmer's Dash, and I want you to talk about it, and the charities, because before the show I started digging into who the charities were, which, for those in the city and not familiar with farming and communities, I think it's a really important conversation which no one's having, or very few people are having outside of the major cities. So tell us about Farmer's Dash, why you created it, and then let's talk about the charities. So I like to say I'm a little bit crazy when it comes to my ideas. I'll be driving and I won't even have music on and something will pop up. Like, that's how my ideas come to me. This time I had the radio on and I heard about the Farmer Wellness Initiative, or Agriculture Wellness Ontario. And I was like, I wonder what this is. So then I went onto the internet, I started researching it, and I design websites for my business. So I was like, this website's really nice, but like, there's really no contact information. Like, this feels a little bit odd. So I contacted my friend at the OFA and I said, is this a real thing? Like, can I have a contact information for them? And she said, yeah, it's a real thing. Like, here you go. It's a really cool program. And then I was able from that contact information to find more information and other websites that connected back to it. And I was like, okay, this is really cool. And this is important. A lot of communities in rural Ontario, if they're not built around like industrial or like cities, they're built on farming. And that's what you have. So it's important. And my grandfather was the last of 7 generations of farmers in Ontario from the sovereign side. So it is near and dear.
Yeah. Well, tell us about the event. So what's the event? So Farmer's Dash. So tell us how you created it, how it ties into what you love to do and your passion, which is barrel racing and pole bending, and how you're going to create this into an ability to make money for these charities to move them forward.
So I co-hosted a barrel race 2 years ago called the Brain Power Barrel Race.
Yeah.
It was a wonderful experience. I got to support a local rodeo family and the Brain Tumor Foundation of Canada. And ever since then, I've really had like that hankering to do it again. I love rodeo. I love barrel racing. The community is huge. And when it matters, they come together. So I was like, okay, if I can take this and then I can take the charity and really like put it together and see what I can do, like I got this. And so because I've been wanting to host another one, and it was really at me recently, and then I came across this and I have that personal connection. It came together. So it's the Farmer's Dash fundraiser barrel race, and we are going to have open barrels, youth barrels, open poles, and then a dash for cash.
So, okay, before you get there, so barrel racing we just talked about, open poles.
Open poles, so pole bending.
Yeah.
6 poles are set up in a straight line. You go up one side and you turn your end pole, and then you have to weave through them and then turn that other end pole and weave back.
Okay.
And then you're coming home as fast as possible on the opposite side. Coming home is essentially finishing your race.
Right.
And that is like, that's where you get your speed. That's where you want to go as fast as possible.
Okay. And you love that one, right?
I love barrels.
Yeah.
My horse and I, we were really good at poles. We're having some, I like to say marital issues to make it funny. So we're having some issues, and it's natural. It's okay. It happens. You're human. They're a horse. You don't have a shared language. You can't talk things out.
Right.
But no, my boy, he's good at poles. I know he is. It's me getting in his way. I like barrels. It's a little bit more simple in my mind for me personally. But there's other people who love pole bending and think it's more simple.
Mm-hmm. And a dash.
So the dash for cash is a barrel right at the end of the arena. One barrel. You run down. You basically do a U-turn around that barrel and you go home as fast as possible. That's more of a fun race.
Okay. All right. So you're going to hold the event. People are going to come out. It's free?
Free admission.
Free admission.
For our spectators. And if you're a competitor, we have entry fees.
Right. Entry fees to compete. And then there's prizing.
Yes.
For as people win first, second, third.
Yep. So on top of our payouts, we want to make this a little bit more fun and more memorable. So I've had a bunch of businesses be able to donate items, gift cards, curb straps, and bridle bags, which will be like kind of sorted out from like our first division winner and so on and so forth. We really, really, really want to idolize the first places in each division, like strive for as best as possible. And there's still a couple more weeks left, and I'm still pending a couple more sponsorships. So the more sponsorship money we get, the more prizes we're going to buy, or I might even commit to buying some buckles for our division winners.
Oh, nice. And True Patriot Love, don't forget, we're in, right?
Yes.
So, okay.
Which I appreciate.
Yeah, no worries. That's great. We love this type of initiative. Tell us about Agricultural Wellness Ontario. And so, most of this is done on their behalf. And so,
yes and no.
Yeah.
I had a meeting with the CDO, and I basically said, I don't need your help, like in a nice way. Like I don't need you to come and set up. I don't need you to advertise. I really don't need you to do anything. I said, I need permission for the rights of your logo to use. And I said, I need permission to write you guys a check.
Yeah.
And they're like, wow, this is great. Like we never have this.
Right.
Everyone wants us to come out and do all the work for our money. Like I was like, yeah, no, I essentially just want rights for your logo and your name for the use of the barrel race. And I want to write you guys a check. And they were amazing. And then they also connected me with their marketing team and their communications team, which was a very cool experience. And from there, we kind of talked. I made posters for them and stuff like that. I sent it off, and they've been posting it and kind of helping me advertise on the back end of that. And then they're also planning to come out to the event with a booth.
Oh, nice.
And give out stickers and stuff like that. And then also, we had a conversation about this, but they're also going to step away from their booth for a little bit. I know mental health can be a huge topic. There is no reason for it to be embarrassing, but a lot of people can see it as embarrassing for themselves. They don't want to admit that they're suffering. So we had a really long conversation about they're going to step away from their booth and they're going to spread out and they're going to walk around. And if someone feels like they can't walk up and grab some of those resources while someone's there, maybe they'll feel more comfortable walking up when someone's not there. Even if it's a little sticker that just says the name, they still have that in their wallet, in their purse, in their pocket. So if they are needing that resource, they can go online quickly and search it up and have it, and they don't have to try and remember.
Right. Yeah, and it's interesting. And then Farmer Wellness Initiative too is involved. So you got the two charities.
The Agriculture Wellness Ontario is more of the umbrella to the Farmer Wellness Initiative. So Agriculture Wellness Ontario is resources, mental health literacy, education,
right.
More like peer support. Whereas the Farmer Wellness Initiative is that immediate support. It's free, it's confidential. You have counselors that understand the stressors and the pressure. There's no wait times for it, which is a huge thing. Like if you even to go see your family doctor, you're taking weeks and weeks and weeks to see them.
Right.
So this is 24/7 on the phone, video call. It's essentially saying we are here when you need us, and we are here however it's best for you.
Oh, nice. And we don't often talk about the stresses that the agricultural society and groups, farmers, horse people feel. And quite frankly, because we think they're living a divine life out on a farm, in the open air and everything else. Yeah, it's not always that way. There's a lot of having spent time on a farm, I know, quite frankly, it's a lot of isolation. There's a lot of alone time, a lot of kind of thinking in your own head, right? And also, you think about the complications of cropping, growing crops, harvesting crops, getting them to market. Livestock, price changes, right? Because it's a commodity, so it's constantly going up and down. Look at, we did a show on canola and China recently. It was a few months ago, but just the stress in their lives in Western Canada for canola farmers having to figure out, because you have to start planning so far in ahead to get that crop going. And you're making, most businesses, you have to make decisions 6 months in advance at least. Because if you make them too late, you've either missed the opportunity or you don't have the resources to get there. In the farming community, you're a year plus, you have to start to make those decisions. And now in this environment, we have all these crazy things happening, like wars in Iran. We have oil challenges. So their world is weather challenges. Yeah, with all these climate changes that we see all the time. They have even more things to think about on a longer time frame than most Canadians. And we don't really think about that. So this is wonderful because it gives them an opportunity to reach out, call a hotline, talk and figure out, if they are having stress.
Yeah. And I do feel like this is a little bit different than a typical suicide hotline, because this isn't just for suicide for prevention, which it is. Like, it's there if you need it, but it's also there for when they are struggling. Like, even if it hasn't gotten to that point, the Farmer Wellness Initiative is there when they need it to help stop them from getting to that point. And it's direct, it's specific, it's for them. So the Agriculture Wellness is that preventative, and then the Farmers Wellness Initiative is that, like, okay, we're here, let us help you. And because it's someone who understands the struggles, it's not a person where you don't know where they are sitting there being like, I'm so sorry to hear this, you are loved. It's more like, I understand that crop prices are changing and that's stressing you financially, and I can see how that's affecting your life. Like, it's customized for them.
Yeah. Well, that's good. And I also, I think this is great too, because quite frankly, a lot of times isolation, you find that people, they have a lot of free time. So they might have a few drinks. They get, they get in the wrong direction. So it's good to kind of realign. It's also, I think, wonderful because it actually helps people kind of reset. And I know we did a show a few months ago, and it was on addictions.
Yeah.
And it was a great show because it was different methods with which to deal with addictions. And people told their stories about how, quite frankly, they used different strategies to overcome challenges, which I think this is perfect. So,
well, on that point, there was a study done, and farmers are at such a heightened risk for being predisposed to addiction or actually being addicted. And like you said, it's the isolation, and maybe it's how normal it's being made to sit in the cab of your tractor that's automated now and have a drink, or the long stressful days and they just want to go to bed and they're having a couple of drinks before bed, and it becomes so normalized for them that it's happening more and more frequently. And so to be able to give them these resources and say, hey, you're not alone, like, let us help you.
Yeah. Oh no, I think that's terrific. And if you look across Canada and you look at some of the challenges around the world right now, the farming community is becoming so essential. And we talk about it all the time, but we're not talking about it enough. So if you look at, just look at oil for a minute, and you think to yourself, okay, the oil crisis and gas going up and everything else has a lot of impacts. But as fertilizer is impacted and growing is impacted, Canadians are going to be called upon to increase their production of food for the world. And we should be talking about that more. So these farmers become our lifeline because we as a nation, number one, depend on them. And we're going to have to depend on them more because our importing of food will reduce. And, as famines happen across the world, which inevitably, given the oil crisis, they will. So we're going to have to really rely on these farmers. So supports for farmers are crucial at this point. And you and I talked about it last time we met, and I wanted to just bring that up for the viewers because programs like this that we support, help those farmers stay healthy, help them stay productive, help them stay in the game. What day are you doing this event? Because
It's May 30th.
May 30th, so it's coming up.
It is coming up.
Yeah. How are you feeling?
I'm so nervous for it.
Yeah.
But it's like one of those excited nervous. Like,
Yeah.
Yes, I've had help from Brian. Yes, I have a lot of my friends saying, I'll volunteer day of, but there's so much going on behind the scenes that I already kind of understood it because of the co-hosting, but I think 100% taking this on, looking at the numbers, I feel like an accountant now. I have all these spreadsheets with numbers. But it's such a huge undertaking, and I'm a person who doesn't like to fail, and I love to do good, especially when it's something so huge and so public. So I am feeling a little bit anxious, but I know it'll all be okay. And honestly, I'm grateful for the media coverage like you. Like, it's amazing. Yeah,
we love, again, these to me are, they're stories not only do we have to cover, but we have to talk about people that are committing themselves to do good. The day. So take me through the day. So how does the day, because I was curious when I was looking at, your flyer and everything.
There's no specific end time because it's so hard to tell.
Okay.
So that's why there's just a start time. If you're thinking about my day, I'll probably be up and at the facility probably by 6 a.m.
Yeah.
To make sure everything is perfect. I'm a perfectionist. It'll be a little bit wild, but for say a competitor, they're probably going to get there around 9 to 9:30. They're going to come in, they're going to check in if they've pre-entered, and if they haven't pre-entered, they're going to come and enter and pay their fees.
Right.
They're most likely also going to buy an exhibition, which is essentially a practice barrel run in the pen. They can work on their horse quickly or get their horse used to the banners or the sights or the sounds. So exhibitions will start at 10. Our exhibitions will either be cut off at 11.
Okay.
Or once exhibitions are done, 11 will be our cutoff time. And then we're going to give ourselves about 10 to 15 minutes for open ride, so horses can come in the arena and ride around. They're just not allowed to do the barrel pattern at that time. And then from probably 11:10-ish to 11:30, we're going to drag, and then 11:30 is when the show will officially start.
Okay.
We're going to start with open barrels. and then we'll go to youth barrels, we'll do pole bending, and then we're going to have a break. During that break, WPRA, so Women's Professional Rodeo Association coach, she's my coach. It's awesome. Her name's Jen Hazelegger. She's actually local to Erin. She's going to come in and she's going to essentially do a barrel breakdown. So she's going to show our spectators the barrel runs but slowed down so they understand. She's going to break it down. She's going to show like a horse picking up its shoulder and picking up its head. So she's going to break it down just so our spectators feel more involved and not just like they're watching.
Okay.
After that's done, we'll go back to our second round of youth barrels and our second round of open. Once those are done, we'll do our dash for cash, and then we'll do all of our awards, our payouts, and then the night will be done. And then I'll be there probably very late doing cleanup.
Oh, good. And Charlie Hill Equine?
Yes, so it's Charlie Hill Equine, and it's located at 6090 4th Line in Orton, which is about 15 minutes outside of Erin.
Okay. So if I'm have a young family and I want my daughter, my son to get into barrel racing, great opportunity to come out because not only are you going to watch the event, but you're going to, at intermission, have this coach go through what it takes, what I need to be thinking about, how to get into the sport.
Yeah, so Jen is amazing because if you already have a horse, she is perfect. She'll teach you lessons. She'll teach you anything almost. If you ask, she'll do it. But she's also really well connected within the equine community. And not only is she connected, she is very respected. Okay. So she would be able to say, hey, you don't have a horse, but you want to get into barrel racing? Well, if you're in this area, you can go see her. Or you can go see her. So she's essentially said, if I can't help them, I'm going to find someone who can help them.
Okay. And if I have, young family or, you just want to learn, you come out, is it not scary to do? Because I always thought barrel racing was a little scary. So how did you get over the fear of doing it? Because obviously I know Brian was very helpful and he got you involved with horses at a young age. But it's a big animal, right? You're jumping on a big animal, you're moving really fast. How did you get over kind of the the confidence? Tell me a little bit about that. Because I messed around years ago trying to do steer wrestling, and I was horrifically bad at it. So I know how hard it is. Yeah. But, I looked at barrel, but quite frankly, there was no way. I started, my introduction to horses were relatively late in life. And
Same with mine.
Yeah, but I just wasn't, there when I tried to do it. How did you get over the fear of moving at that speed? And, tell me about that, because I'm always curious to see people who have the, not the daredevil ability to get and do it, but how did you get that?
Well, I've always been told, if you're not scared, you're not going fast enough.
Okay.
But if I'm being so honest, I would rather run as fast as possible into walls, which essentially is what I'm doing to push my horses past the barrels, than jump. I used to jump.
Oh, okay.
It terrified me. I can't leave the ground. I don't want to leave the ground.
Okay.
I went from jumping to barrel racing because I hated leaving the ground.
Yeah.
But I think if you fall off enough times, you understand and it's not that bad and you know what you're doing. I think the love for it and honestly, the adrenaline, it overtakes that. I don't think there's been one time where I've been sitting on the back of at least my two boys currently where I've been scared. My mare though, different story. She was horrible and awful and would break halters and would break lead shanks and tried to flip over on herself, and she was nasty, but she loved me and I loved her, and she loved Brian, and she was good. I wasn't the rider that she needed. I wasn't as good as she was, but she was a good mare, and but she scared the crap out of me, honestly. She was just unpredictable.
Oh, okay. So it's finding the right horse.
Yeah.
It sounds like, wow.
And growing in your confidence and understanding your skill.
Yeah. Which then led to, so the interesting part is, in this show, where I kind of wanted to get on most of it when we sat down the other day, is the skills that you get by, you think about all the conversations we had today so far, the discipline you get out of owning a horse. Yep. So that's wonderful. Overcoming fears, which is so important in life, because you're, at 19, your ability to actually start a company, say, I'm going to get involved in marketing, and then start the pathway. You're sitting with me the other day and I'm explaining to you how I create ecosystems to start businesses. And it's so neat because I'm, having a conversation with someone who's starting a business and starting to think about all those things. And then you're talking to the guys in the other room about their stuff. It's having the curiosity, but you get that from the discipline of being involved in something. When you said, I don't like to lose, that's a statement that every business owner will say. Because in order to be an entrepreneur, you have to be able to overcome the risk. To be a farmer, to go out and get a farm, which is, a bigger, much
Very
bigger,
expensive
equipment, cropping, people, human resources, very hard to do, as we mentioned. So, all the things we're talking about, you've really picked up from a sport that you love, and now you're turning it into not only a business, but now you're doing good for community.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, honestly, I think anyone could ride a horse. Like I said before, there's girls that get off their horse, hand it to mommy and daddy and walk away. Like, I think anyone can own a horse and not learn something. I think it's having the right people in your lives that are going to say, this is what you have to do. It's the people that are going to push you, even if you don't like it, to work harder and to be better. Like, it's not just discipline and, like being excited to do something, but it's the respect for the animal. It's the respect for yourself. It's the respect for your truck and your trailer and your tack, and it's the commitment and being able to show up every single day, which it is a struggle and it can definitely be hard mentally. And that's kind of where a huge tie of it came in. I have so many ties to this barrel race personally and business wise that it made sense. My coach Jen, she's hosting a 5 or 6 week virtual clinic where she's going to break down how to psychologically deal with and overcome the fear, the trauma, the stress of competing and get your mind back. And like horses, I love to say, if you're not a horse owner, they are the most healing animals ever. Like, there's places that you can come out and pet the horsey and the horsey's going to love you and everything's right in the world. And then there's horse owners and they're hard on our mental health.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I'd like to think most of the time, the more you love them, the faster they're going to try and die. So horses definitely know when to pull the right strings, but they are beautiful creatures.
Right. Which, again, as I'm listening to you, I'm kind of drawing in the analogy of being a business owner and starting a new business, because the resilience you need to have and the fortitude that you have to show just to get through those trying times at the beginning of your business taking off. Talk about Dustin the Media, because now I want to, because, where do you want to go with it? Where your clientele, a little bit about your business plan. Tell me sort of when you started it, how you started it, and then where are you going with it?
I think like the actual start was for Brian and the Ontario Equine Education Employment Program. We were going to the Little Brown Jug in Ohio, I think. I don't know. I was just along for the ride. Yeah. And I said, oh, Brian, it'd be so cool, if we made a TikTok for OEP and OHA. And so I made him do a TikTok.
Oh, okay.
I made Brian do TikToks. Funniest thing ever.
I got to see this.
Oh, I'll show you a picture. And so I made him do a TikTok. And then I was like, well, since this is a program and we're trying to reach out past the equine community to find people who want to be involved with horses and work with horses but don't know how to, why don't we have a social media? Like, why don't we have an active social media presence? So Brian's like, yeah, sure, go ahead, do it, whatever. So I did it, and then I did it again and again. And that was super fun. And I would do interviews with people. I would, like, whenever Brian and I were at like an equine-based event, we would take pictures and say, like, look where we are now and look what we're doing and all that stuff. And then I built a website, and just like for the fun of it. And then I was like, okay, this is kind of fun. So then I built another one, and I was like, oh, this is a nice website. And then I had a family friend reach out and ask, like, hey, I have a business, but like I don't have anything for it. I have a name essentially. And I said, oh, essentially, what do you want from me then? Well, I want you to build my website. And I was like, okay. He's like, yes, I'm also going to need help like building social medias too. I said, okay. And I said, okay, as I'm working on this, like if I actually want to make something out of this, I can't just keep going, Sienna builds websites. Like I need to put a name behind it.
Yeah.
So then I think I went through almost 50 business names. And I refused to have a name that was similar to something on the internet already. So I think I did like Red Hot Media, for example. And I'd be like, oh, this is a really good name. And then I'd search it up on the internet and I'd see something. I'd be like, okay, next name. I'd search up on the internet. I wouldn't see anything. But then I'd go to AI and I'd be like, where can you find this name? And I'd be like, okay, no. And then I really started to think about like, what are some sayings? I knew I really wanted to go towards the blue collar, agriculture, equine sectors when it comes to my business. That's what I'm passionate about. I could do something for a shipping company, but I'm not passionate about shipping. So yes, the work would be amazing, but I wouldn't be exactly proud of it because I don't know anything.
Yeah.
So I started to think about like, don't get left in the dust, or like, don't get left behind in the dust. And I was like, you know, my ideas are really focused for blue collar and equine and agriculture. And a lot of those businesses don't have social media and they get lost, you know? And I was like, they're getting left behind, you know? And if you don't have social media nowadays, you're getting left behind. So that's where I kind of came up with Dust in the Media and then Don't Get Left in the Dust. And it grew from there. And then I kind of bit my tongue and I was like, oh, I should have really make myself a website, but I can't yet. Like when it comes to my own business, I'm super indecisive. And so then I kind of slowly started doing it. I was kind of taking on some other clients at the time. And then I bit the bullet and I think I got my whole website done in maybe 2 days.
Oh,
and I'm
good
talking
for you.
like 5 or 10 hours a day. Like I was on it. It was done and I still love it to this day.
What's the site?
It's called dustinthemedia.ca.
Okay.
So it's super simple.
Great.
It's kind of all the same thing. And so, yeah, like on my website, I have like my services and then some of my previous projects. And I made and released merch on my website 2 nights ago. I think it was 11 o'clock at night. I was like, I would really like this.
Yeah.
So I made myself a little merch line for the website. And I write blogs whenever I have some spare time just to like get my ideas out. And if I can help someone, like I'm going to help them. So that's kind of where it started and that's where it is now. I do a lot of content creation. So, like putting pictures together, you know, building digital graphics to be able to post.
Yeah.
And then I'll schedule it and I'll work on the captions and the hashtags and make sure it fits in. And then I still love building websites, but not everyone needs a website and that's understandable. And then a lot of graphics and digital advertisement pieces.
Wow. So you're going to school.
I am.
You're doing Dust in the Media.
That's the fundraiser.
Yeah. You're barrel racing.
I have the 2 boys and it is the start of the barrel racing
Wow.
season.
So you're busy.
And I work in the mornings.
Yes.
And I feel like there's something else I'm doing that I just can't remember right now.
I'm sure there is. You know, you have to have a social life, but you know, again, a skill. See, it's so amazing when we're talking about this because all the business acumen and ideas that you have as a business owner, it's time management.
Yes.
So then the other thing you're learning, you know, which is really cool. When I met you, I'm like, okay, this young lady is really learning to manage her time to accommodate all the things to build a business around what she loves, which is really the ecosystem you're building to create a successful business and a passion that you have around a passion that you have, which is really terrific. You know, I can't commend you enough for what you're doing. So I really, and you know, I talked to you a little bit, part of my business and part of the ecosystem of all my business always has a charitable component, whether it's donating to charities, whether it's getting charities involved, because I think that's the karma you build that actually makes you a success. So Sienna, tell us just before we end up, tell us about the event again, because I want to make sure everyone's got it. I want them to put it on their calendar. If they make time, come out and tell us about Farmer's Dash, time when they should be there, and location, and anything else I've missed.
So it's called the Farmer's Dash. You can type in the Farmer's Dash on Facebook.
Okay.
And then go to your Facebook events tab. It should be there. It has a little yellow profile. And then you can follow along with updates on the payouts and the silent auction items. It's at Charlie Hill Equine, which you can also search up on Google and find their facility. It's at 6090 4th Line in Orton. If you have any comments, questions, concerns, if you're a business that wants to financially sponsor, or if you're a business that wants to donate something, you can go to my website at dustinthemedia.ca, all of my contact information is there, and you can reach out. If you want to come as a spectator and you have some questions, you can go there and reach out as well. And yeah, like, it's honestly an amazing event. I'm so grateful to everyone, including you, for just letting me talk about everything and get it out there.
Yeah. And Dustin the Media, I'm going to give you a plug for that. You know, the nice part is you understand farming, you understand horses. So anyone in those industries, anyone in the rural community that's looking for marketing help, marketing opportunities, please give Sienna a call, dustinthemedia.ca, and I'm sure you'll do a terrific job for them.
Well, thank you so much. I really, really appreciate it.
Thank you for coming in.
Thank you.